the next Maury Povich Show. Jailed for murder, released on a technicality, only to kill again.
I think it's time that the authorities took responsibility for all of these murders.
Mothers of victims speak out on how the courts let this man get away with murder. Then, garbage, loud music, and pesky pets.
Your boyfriend has threatened to choke me and choke me real quick if my dog pee on his tires of his truck.
They're feuding neighbors on the next Maury Povich Show.
Join me tomorrow at 4 on TV 11. This is WBAL Radio's Alan Prell. Join me in TV 11 for a trip to remember.
You bet your life.
Enter to win the chance to see Bill Cosby as part of the audience of his new show.
You bet your life.
Right. Winners travel to Philadelphia courtesy of Holiday Tours.
Holiday Travel Service, the difference you'll appreciate is their commitment to safety and outstanding customer service. Listen to the Alan Prell Show for details.
Hey, I get to drive.
Not on your life.
I'm keeping that.
Thanks for watching WBAL TV, Channel 11.
Crank it up!
Oh, stage 29. That's Paramount Studios on Melrose Avenue in the heart of Hollywood, California. In the United States, the planet we call Earth is the Arsenio Wholesale Drilling Arsenio Home. Tonight, Arsenio welcomes Elizabeth Taylor, World Heavyweight Champion Evander Holyfield, the music of Santana, and sitting in with a posse, Dave Collins. And now, Chesapeake, Beach Grove, Fort Collins, and all the rest of y'all, it's Arsenio! Carlos Santana and his posse. Michael and my posse. Boy, oh boy, yo, what's up, man? Hey, we got all the A musicians here tonight. Yes, indeed. How you doing? Doing all right? Yeah, hi. How you doing? Yes, yes. Those people over there, those are people who, at one time in their lives, you'll find them saying, you know, I was at the Arsenio Hall show and I was in the dog pound and I was on TV and I was waving, and the person they're talking to would say, big deal. That's who they are, though. Yes. Welcome to the show. A few things to talk about tonight. Democratic presidential contender Bill Clinton. Yes, he, actually, you probably know Bill was on this show last week, and he's going to take his talk to MTV soon. Clinton, well, yeah, he's going to spend an hour answering questions in order to make his positions known to the young, I guess. The other candidates are following Clinton's lead. Now, it's kind of interesting. Next week, Club MTV will introduce their permanent new host, Downtown Jerry Brown. And I'm looking forward to that. I can't wait. I want to see Jerry in those little dresses. If there's any politician who should actually be on MTV, it's not Clinton. I think it's Marion Barry. You know, I mean, he already has a video. Oh, gosh. I found a photo today I want you to see. It's of soldiers in the Philippines. Can you see that photo? At first, when I saw it, I couldn't figure out what they were doing. Sandy, you can't make that bigger, can you?
No, sir.
That won't go bigger. But you all can see, right? You're all young. Yes, you can see that. I didn't know what it was at first, and then I read on to find out these are Philippine soldiers apparently getting their first look at the pregnant Filipino hermaphrodite pulling his pants down. And yeah, it's like, oh, my. You read about that, right? Fake. Yeah. News out of Salt Lake City. Actually, I was going to tell you this a while back, but I forgot. Do you know a woman in Salt Lake City recently called 911 to report, and this is the strangest thing I've ever heard anybody reporting to 911. She reported that she couldn't get her husband to make love to her. Okay, the police came because they were fighting about this. You know, when the police got there, as a matter of fact, she was beating her husband up. And the husband said the reason he wouldn't make love to her was not because he didn't have the desire, it was because he was watching a Utah Jazz basketball game. This is a true story. Can you believe she called 911 though? What did she think, the SWAT team was gonna come and say, okay, man, put down the clicker. Put the clicker down now, get away from the lazy boy. Now get busy with your woman. You know, what kind of 911 call is that? People are so silly, they waste 911 calls. And I'll tell you something, I'm no Dr. Joyce Brothers, but I've got the perfect solution for the couple. If you think about this, he likes basketball and she likes sex. Next time, why don't they call Wilt Chamberlain? Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
To get the mix. They weren't booing. They just have their own shows and they're mad they didn't think of the mix. We got a great bunch of musicians here and back there, and we have heavyweight champion Evander Holyfield here tonight. Evander's here. Elizabeth Taylor is here. Why don't you all take us to commercial any way you want to? Hey, Dave.
Why don't Olympic divers do cannonballs? Why ask why? Try Bud Dry. It's dry brewed to drink light, yet satisfy completely. When it comes to refreshment, he was robbed. It's a perfect 10.
The Iron Eagle is back on a new team. Louis Gossett Jr., Aces, Iron Eagle 3, their final mission, rated R. Starts Friday at a theater near you.
Dear Wendy, summer vacation, week 2. I'm having a great time taking a lot of photos. I went to Dolphin World with some new friends. Afterwards, everyone was hungry. Luckily, there was a Wendy's nearby. We had Junior Bacon cheeseburgers, Biggie fries, Frosties, and Biggie drinks. I treated, because everything on the Super Value menu is just 99 cents each. And Miss Smarty, I finally broke 100. Love, Dad.
Hey, mister, that's my ball.
Oh, sorry.
Wendy's Super Value Menu, the best place to spend your summer.
Our 5th anniversary, and they call right in the middle of dinner.
Oh. You know, I got one of those calls trying to get me to change from AT&T to
MCI.
And guess who gave them my number? Dave, they said.
Dave.
He put them on to me, too, about this friends and family thing.
Yeah. What are you guys talking about, Dave, giving out your numbers?
That's what we did.
At AT&T, your friends are your business. Keeping you connected to them is ours.
Dave, what? You know anything about this friends and family thing? Trust me, it's just not worth it.
You say your eyes are red, irritated, dry? Don't hide them. Help them with Clear Eyes. It gets rid of the redness and has an extra moisturizing ingredient, too. Clear Eyes. And for allergies and colds, Clear Eyes ACR.
The Arsenio Hall Show is brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers with that clean, crisp, cold
See, tomorrow night, Olivia Newton-John is here in living colors. Jim Carrey is here, and from Full House, John Stamos is here. My first guest has made movie history in such classics as Father of the Bride, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. Wow, all these great movies. Cleopatra, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. She's a two-time Oscar-winning actress, humanitarian, perfume mogul, wife, mother, biker, best friend of Michael Jackson. I'm gonna keep naming stuff till I wake the crowd up. Please welcome Elizabeth Taylor. Oh, boy. In preparing for this, I didn't know how to approach it. So I looked for quotes that might help me to understand this woman, and I found this.
Tell me.
I'm loud, noisy, earthy, ready for much more living. I don't see you as being loud.
Well, you haven't heard me laugh yet.
Oh, okay. And I hear you have a bizarre and wild sense of humor. They don't, I mean, the roles that you've been given, do people see you as having a sense of humor, being a comedy actress?
Well, you have to have a sense of humor to play Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf.
Yeah.
That's heavy stuff.
Mm-hmm. Would you like people to see you as more a comedian also?
I just would like people to see me as I am, whatever that is.
What is that?
I'm not really entirely sure.
Yeah. But, gosh, I don't see you as loud. And how long has purple been your favorite color?
I think I was born wearing a violet. I've always loved purple.
Yeah. And there's a new bike in your family?
Oh, I gave Larry a bike, a Fat Boy, for Christmas.
Now, Fat Boy, exactly what is that?
It's a Harley Davidson. It's black and chrome, and it's really mean.
Yeah.
It's wicked.
And your bike, I think your favorite one is the one Malcolm gave you, right?
It's purple, naturally.
Yeah. Yeah, Malcolm Forbes was here right before he passed away. A very nice man.
Wasn't he a wonderful guy?
Yeah. So kind, you would never know he was so rich. Because he was just like, you know, he was just like this regular guy, real cool guy.
You mean rich is mean?
Well, moving on. I like your pumps.
I like your jewels. Sound I wanted to hear. Do it again.
Oh, the
please.
barking?
I love it.
Yes, that's our sign of approval around here.
I love it.
There are a lot of myths about Elizabeth Taylor. What's your favorite?
Oh, God, I don't believe them, so I don't have a favorite or an unfavorite because I just don't pay attention to them.
That's good.
A myth is a myth, exactly what it says.
Yeah. And I said that you were Michael Jackson's best friend, kind of as a joke, but who is your best friend?
My husband.
Oh, that's cool.
And Michael is one of my best friends. He really is.
Now, when you hang out with Michael, does Larry get jealous?
No, because he hangs out with us.
Oh, okay, because you and Michael met in New York recently.
Yeah, Larry was working and he didn't go. It was a business trip.
Yeah, but it was a good business trip. Didn't you get an award, a Fifi or something?
Yeah, can you believe that for a name?
Let's tell them what it is, though.
It's the perfume industry, fragrance industry award, so it was very nice for White Diamonds.
Yeah, so now you have everything.
Well, a girl can always have more. There are girls out there that know.
Of all your movies, what's your favorite?
I think Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, because it was, Oh. It was the most challenging.
The most challenging in what sense?
Well, I was much younger than the character I was playing, and I wasn't an alcoholic then. I became that later.
There's the sense of humor they told me about.
And, oh, I wore padding and, you know, rubber on my face and had to change my voice. And it was a person I really didn't know, thank God, because she really wasn't a very nice lady.
Yeah. How about Butterfield? You have an Oscar for that?
I played a whore.
One of your favorite roles?
Actually, I hated the part. Not the part. I hated the circumstances because the studio...
It's hard to imagine a world drastically different from the one we know.
Climate models predict warmer tropical oceans. More heat from the oceans adds energy that creates powerful winds. This could lead to stronger storms and hurricanes.
The prestigious American Museum of Natural History has created a computer-generated glimpse of a hotter world in the year 2050.
The global average temperature may be anywhere from 3 to 8 degrees higher than it is today.
A change of just a few degrees could make a catastrophic difference.
Global warming is expected to cause sea level rise. Melting of some glaciers could add more water to the seas.
Washington, D.C., a few feet above sea level, could disappear underwater.
The Jefferson Memorial would become an island. A major storm surge would nearly encircle the Washington Monument and completely surround the Internal Revenue Service. Muddy waters would even reach the grounds of the U.S. Capitol.
What it adds up to is sort of like pulling an ecological rug out from under plant and animal species.
The cause, scientists theorize, is chemical pollution. So much has risen above the Earth that a shield has formed in the upper atmosphere. Heat from the sun that is supposed to be reflected back into space gets trapped. A greenhouse effect, if you will. The Earth gets warmer.
Carbon dioxide, a primary greenhouse gas, is now at its highest level of the past 160,000 years.
Carbon dioxide gas is just one of the greenhouse gases. Our factories, our power plants, our cars make carbon dioxide the biggest source of pollution of our industrialized world.
The United States releases an average of 40,000 pounds of carbon dioxide per person every year.
Trees and leaves naturally absorb carbon dioxide gas and convert it to oxygen for us to breathe. But we're destroying forests too. So what can we do?
Cut forest burning, promote reforestation, promote energy efficiency and conservation, and let's have some serious looks at new energy sources.
Work in your community, recycle, that's why we go clean up the town.
It's not just the scientists who are looking for solutions.
And if we just walked a little more and just recycle, that it would be a better place.
I don't use that much energy, and I turn off light bulbs and so on.
Making the world a better place is a very big job. So is finding just the right balance between what's good for the world's economy and what's good for the world. The problem of pollution and the possibility of global warming poses another threat on the other side of the world. Live now from Beijing, China, we're joined by my colleague Bill Whitaker. Bill?
Hello, Dan. The government of China has made economic development its top priority. But while the people of this most populous nation on Earth are getting richer, as you can see from the heavy pall of smog behind me today, their environment is getting poorer.
As China heads toward the year 2000, much of the country still is struggling to pull out of the 19th century, locked in poverty, underdeveloped. So China's communist leaders have embarked on a breakneck modernization program, determined to catch up with the industrial world. Through the 1980s, the economy grew a whopping 10% a year. Demand for electricity doubles every 5 years. It's a great leap forward powered by dirty, cheap coal, lots of it, 1 billion tons a year. China produces and consumes more coal than any other nation on Earth.
Coal is the food of Chinese industry. Without coal, our industrial development would suffer.
But there's a nasty price to pay. These smokestacks, which bring prosperity, spew millions of tons of pollutants and greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. The billowing emissions shroud China's cities in a sickening morass of smog much of the year and contribute significantly to the warming of the planet. Today, China produces about half the greenhouse gases of the United States, the top polluter. But at present rates, China will be releasing 3 times more than the U.S. in just 3 decades.
They're trying desperately to supply the energy to continue economic growth, and this makes controlling pollution extremely difficult.
Some Western scientists say China is racing along a path toward environmental disaster. But with a population of 1.1 billion people, growing by 17 million every year, China's leaders say they have little choice.
Western nations have developed by burning coal for 100 years. China will not sacrifice its economic development just for the protection of the environment.
China has tough anti-pollution laws on the books, but has little money to implement or enforce them. So its pollution problems are likely only to get worse. China hopes to become a middle-income nation by the turn of the century. Consider the environmental impact if all these people were riding cars instead of bicycles.
I hate to think of 1 billion people in China having air conditioners. I can't imagine what that would do.
The fear, of course, is that it would heat up the Earth even more. China says its pollution problem is a global problem, and it's calling on wealthier nations to help with the cleanup costs. Neighboring Japan, already feeling the effects of acid rain from China, is helping out with money and with green technology. But at best, that can only slow down the growth of China's pollution problem, not end it. Dan?
Bill, are there any alternatives that China can turn to?
Well, China right now is trying to diversify its energy sources. It's building dams for hydroelectric power. It's trying to tap its vast reserves of natural gas. And it's even trying to expand on its nuclear power program. But all of those are much more expensive than using coal. And as in the case with nuclear power, it requires technologies that the West has put off limits to China up to now. Dan?
Thanks very much. Bill Whitaker reporting live from Beijing, China. In our live broadcast, let's take a few of your telephone calls now. T.S. Bolter of Greenville, Michigan. Greenville, Michigan, want to double check? Right, there's so many Greenvilles around. This is Greenville, Michigan. And your question for Robert Grady.
I'm curious about what type of plants could be cultivated and grown to increase the ozone layer and to help to reduce the global warming. I've been led to believe that hemp can do that. I think it's time hemp's used or looked at in our modern society.
I think a whole variety of plants are what they call carbon sinks because they absorb carbon in the process of growing, in the process of photosynthesis that we learned about in school, all of us. And that includes trees and different kinds of grasslands and everything else. So a whole range of possible plants. The main focus of the government to date has been tree planting because trees have many benefits, not only carbon sequestration, but also purifying the water and providing shade, which actually is a big saver of energy, makes buildings more energy efficient when they're surrounded by trees. So all kinds of plants can help as carbon sinks.
Rusty Baird of Carthage, Illinois, has a question also for Mr. Grady. You're on.
Mr. Grady, I guess my question is, why is the Bush administration allowing massive destruction of our old-growth forests when they're telling the public to plant trees on their own land?
Well, I think that the forest policies of this country have improved dramatically over 20 years. I wouldn't necessarily call it massive destruction. The United States is a net planter of forests on the public lands. And the president, for example, proposed to end below-cost timber sales on some of the national forests, signed a bill to end below-cost timber sales in the Tongass. In the Northwest, you had a really difficult problem, much like the salmon problem that was outlined at the beginning of this broadcast. And that was a case where there was a plan to help the spotted owl recover up in Oregon and Washington, but the modeling showed that we would lose about 35,000 jobs under that kind of plan. An alternative plan was presented that said if you preserve the species but it won't recover as fast, won't grow, that you would not lose 15 to 20,000 of those jobs. So that was a very tough decision, and what the president did was to take both plans and present them to the Congress and say, you know, before we throw an extra 15 or 20,000 people out of work here, we ought to take a look at this and have Congress vote on it. So that's what he's proposed, and they've got to vote now.
Mr. Tripp, I want to call you in very quickly. We want to move ahead, but do you agree with what Mr. Grady said there? He put a pretty good face on Bush administration policy vis-a-vis the forests.
It is inexcusable that we're still destroying old-growth virgin forests in this country, and that practice ought to stop immediately. There are plenty of jobs. There are huge amounts of secondary tree growth. Those are the trees that we ought to be cutting. And we ought to be setting an example for the rest of the world in terms of our energy use, showing the Chinese how we can use energy much more efficiently and save our old-growth forests.
Straight ahead, we'll take more telephone calls and hear your questions and comments about trying to clean up the world around us.
Four-star lighting wasn't saving what they'd hoped since leaving AT&T. Trefethen Vineyards was having trouble getting long-distance calls through on the first try. So they've come back to AT&T, and we want you back. Come back with AT&T Partners in Business. AT&T Quality at 20% discounts to the 20 AT&T numbers you choose, or the area code you call most. We want you back. Call 1-800-222-0400.
Our dentist recommended baking soda.
But we wanted tartar control.
Arm & Hammer Dental Care gives us both.
Brushing with baking soda or a baking soda toothpaste is recommended by 2 out of 3 dentists to help provide healthy teeth and gums.
New Arm & Hammer Dental Care Tartar Control.
From the baking soda experts.
I've got a 6 a.m. flight. I've got to get some Z's.
Nitol safely helps you fall asleep fast so you can get your Z's. Nitol or Maximum Strength Nitol.
Nitol will help you get your Z's.
I want to show you why my Dirt Devil is the world's best-selling corded hand vacuum. Okay, Sam. Now, the toughest test for any vacuum is pet hair. So I gave my Dirt Devil a strong motor and a revolving brush just like an upright. And if it's powerful enough to clean up this mess, imagine what it can do with a dirty carpet. You could say Dirt Devil is man's best friend. Well, almost. So get a Dirt Devil and put the power of an upright in the palm of your hand.
Great night for a party.
Now, when life turns up the heat,
Hi. Where is everyone?
there's Degree antiperspirant.
Great night for a party, huh?
Degree's body heat activated to release extra protection. Every time your body heat rises, Degree turns on that extra protection. So when you really need it, Degree keeps you drier, fresher. Degree, your body heat turns it on.
Eye on the Earth will continue.